Okay, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. Much respect to the brothers pushing this word in the four winds of the earth. And shalom to you few sisters out there as well. This brother Ahrayah coming at you with a quick lesson here. And I'm only going to go through a couple of verses of Job 30. Okay, so I'm going through this because I came across this little video about how the royals lived back in like the 1600s, man. And it goes to show you that no matter how much money these devils have, you know, they are still who they are. They're still very disgusting and vile. And that video is going to show you that, man. Okay. So at the end of the day, you know, you can't let their money and their riches and their status and things like that fool you, man, because they're still brute beasts, man. Okay. They are still viler than the earth. All right. You know, you hear rumblings of them like, you know, they like golden showers, meaning they like to get pissed on. You know, they like to get, they like mud baths. You know what I'm getting at, okay? You know, they like things like that, you know. They like to drink it, eat it, roll around in it, right? They love to do it to other people as well. You know, they have gross uh, sexual fantasies, you know. They just very disgusting, man. Okay? And it was you know, where I grew up at, um, you know, every hood got a white mic in their hood, man. So we had a white mic in our hood. Okay? And you know, he had a nice house, you know, and I remember one day me and my brother went to his house and we went in his house. Now, before I get into that, man, you know, he dressed well and all that. He was well kept, you know. He was cool. He's a cool white boy, you know. His father was straight up Archie Bunker, you know, but they were Greeks. Okay. But anyway, we went up in the house and there was papers and shit everywhere, dirty clothes everywhere, dog shit and cat shit everywhere, plates of food everywhere. Just all types of shit was all over the house. The whole house just looked like a fucking junkyard, man. Okay? And a lot of these Edomites live like that, man. You know, the appearance of the outside of their house may look lavish and beautiful, but for most for most of them, man, inside of their houses are fucking disgusting, man. You know, Edomites live very nasty, okay? And I'm going to show you that in this video that I came across, right? But let me stop rambling. Let me just get into this. This is Job 1, and I'm going to read 1 through 8, I believe. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yeah, where too might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want of famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and the caves of the earth and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, right? And I just want to get into this word viler, okay, because this blue letter be going off, man, okay? Like I'm going to show you now, base, right? Which we know as to be like a lower state, right? Hold on, let me go into the interlinear on that, right? But look what they say. Hold on, man. All right. Right? Now it says sem, right? But it means it's shame. Look.
Strong's H 8034. Shame. Shame.
You know? But look, it says reputation, fame, glory, right? A monument, right? And we know that's not what it means. By implication, honor, okay? Which is bullshit. This is just another way, another thing showing you that sometimes the blue letter goes off, right? So I'm just going to look it up here, the word violet, because a few of these words explain what you about to see, man, okay? It says extremely unpleasant, right? And horrid, nasty, horrible, okay? Atrocious, obnoxious, unsavory, repugnant, okay? Disgraceful, appalling, vulgar, right? Hey, yucky. Beastly, okay? Was the word I was looking for. Beastly, man. Okay? So I'm going to show you this video here. I believe it's like 8 minutes, and just check it out, you know, because like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how much wealth and money these Edomites have, man. They still are who they are, and they still live how they live, man. A lot of Edomites don't like to bathe. They don't shower. They don't brush their teeth, right? They don't clean their house, okay? Very disgusting, man, all right? But without further ado, let me play this video, and Lord willing, it's edifying. I want to say shalom to the next one.
The reality of the French court was scarier than you can imagine. The ancient Versailles looks like a great place to live in. But is it really? Have you ever wondered why the gardens at Versailles looked beautiful and flowers blossomed? At the time they were used as a toilet in the famous ballads promoted by the monarchy. The human waste was most definitely supplying the manure. What was life really like for the women in Versailles? Well, let's find out. In this video, we discussed the sad reality of what life was really like for queens and women at Versailles. The Palace of Versailles has been in existence for over 500 years. It was the home of an absolute monarch, built during the 16th and 17th centuries, labeled as one of the greatest achievements in French history art. I mean, it does look amazing. Well, from a distance, but let's get in. King Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King, seems to have had a great imagination ever since the time he inherited the throne from his father, King Louis XII. His father had previously built just a simple hunting lodge, which was later replaced as a small chateau in 1634. But Louis XIV wanted a more comfortable palace to suit his lavish taste. He expanded the building into a palace in 1661. Up until 1715, he moved the seat of his court and government to Versailles, making the palace the capital of France. Over 100 royals, aristocrats, government officials, servants and military officers lived in Versailles and its surrounding lodgings. But it is no longer a palace as of today. That's a bit of some history of Versailles. Women being looked down upon has always been in existence since the past. The experience they had in the Palace of Versailles wasn't always favorable. The rules and regulations for women were harsher than those of men. The things women went through will shock you. Clothing for the Versailles women was torture at its peak. King Louis XIV of France permanently moved his royal court to Versailles in 1682. The Versailles was located in the wilderness, surrounded by stinky swamps, with no shops or markets nearby to purchase clothes at a favorable price. Versailles garments were very expensive, starting with the court dresses, which at least every woman owned, each anxious to make the most money possible. Out of the ghetto of nobles determined to display their rank and status, every single visitor had to pay for their own upkeep by expensive corsets, dresses, furries, wigs and goldsmiths. Versailles fashion was admired across the world and continues to inspire great designers even as we speak. Now, besides the dresses looking good, however, women pulled up their skirts up to pee where they stood because they usually wore puffy dresses with so many layers of fabric, and were approximately 11 feet in circumference. It could be really uncomfortable sometimes to make movements and sit comfortably. Women and royals were also expected to wear very tight-fitting corsets that were so painful and nearly prevented them from breathing. Furthermore, they received training for many days on how to sit and walk around in public courts. They also had to make tiny baby steps to give them a better balance and look like they were gliding across the floor. It was one of many fashions that became popular because they render women useless and decorative, thereby advertising the wealth of their men folk. Women's bathrooms and toilets were a disaster at the Versailles complex. There was only one bathroom to be used by both men and women except for the king, who installed first flush toilet only for his personal use in 1738. While the medieval castles had toilets and separate hot and cold water plumbing systems, the Baroque and Enlightenment-era palaces had none. Even getting a hold of a chamber pot when you needed one could be hard, but there were chamber pots and latrines located in relatively discreet locations. But public urination also happened. Hygiene was an issue and people just answered the call of nature wherever they wanted and in chambers. Owing to the fact that there was limited plumbing systems, the heavily unlimited traffic latrines often leaked into the bedrooms below them, causing poison and smell. It was normal to see people in the act of relieving themselves. Agony is that it was the job of servants to cleanse people's discharge. Human excrement was thrown from the windows of the palace. It is said Queen Marie Antoinette was once hit by human waste being thrown out the window as she walked through an interior courtyard. Those who have been to Versailles have admired the huge and beautiful gardens that at the time were not only seen but used as a toilet in the ballads promoted by the monarchy because there were no sufficient toilets. Marie Antoinette bathed once a month and people bathed perhaps once in a year. The king's personal hygiene is a matter of debate among historians. On the one extreme is the rumor that Louis took only 3 baths in his life. The belief that the king bathed only 3 times in his life is rather implausible. Louis did take care to keep himself clean, just not in the way we moderns go about it. They did not wash themselves frequently and covered the noxious body odors by excessive use of perfumes. Giving birth was embarrassing, requiring many witnesses. Giving birth for royals was actually the state's affairs, which simply means the whole palace had to be present during childbirth at the inner chambers. Women never understood what privacy was because no one gave them a chance to experience it. For royal mothers like Marie Antoinette, it was even worse. She was expected to produce heirs to the throne as per tradition. Therefore, the birth of her child was witnessed by more than 200 people, including members of the church, ladies in waiting, the governess of the princes and princesses of the court, and those who had positions of honors at court. Immediately she went into labor and the doctor was notified. Everyone rushed into the labor room like they had just won some money. Others even climbed on stairs, up the furniture, just to have a better view. Old people can be clumsy. Now imagine how horrific it must have been for the queen. This was the fate of all royal mothers in Versailles, unless, of course, they decided not to get pregnant, which was a problem as well because they would be deemed useless and the subject of gossip just because they can't get pregnant. That was pretty rough. When Catherine de' Medici gave birth to her first male child, the king, her husband, demanded to know the exact time and date she'd deliver. As if that wasn't enough, he also wanted to see every single thing that came out together with the baby. The spread of diseases. The connection between filth and diseases, which was well known in the Middle Ages, had been forgotten. The shock of the syphilis had been so great. Not only can the syphilis piracy spread via bathing water, but many public baths were places for making out and even outright bordellos and trepidmore. Polydium was even more lethal and dangerous germ than what it is today. You must remember that until the very end of the 19th century, no one made the connection between diseases and the strange animalcules that the scientists of that time started to observe in microscopes. Until the end of the 19th century, infection was just a theory. For a long time, the best protection against disease remained possession of a shield against smells, smelling strongly oneself and also sniffing odors of one's choosing. It was therefore a good idea to have a smell box in one's pocket. Women covered themselves with aromatics. They also made concoctions by soaking a sponge in vinegar with cloves in a bowl and carry it in their hands so that they could sniff it occasionally. In the 17th century, they had no knowledge of vaccination whatsoever. It was perceived bathing hot water was dangerous to health and caused illnesses. It was believed that hot water opened up pores in the skin, thus allowing germs or diseases to enter the body. Many women opted for a quick wash, but mostly through what we'd call sponge baths, cleaning up strategic spots with wet cloths rather than full-body immersion. But some never bathed at all. And there was only one bathroom in the Versailles Palace. Historians believe the king himself only bathed twice in his entire lifetime, though he did care for his hygiene by wiping with a towel. But there is no concrete evidence to back this up. Life was definitely not easy at the Palace of Versailles, but we can always learn through history. Kindly leave us a comment and remember to